our alumni group on the Facebook alumni page. And I said, hey, we're trying to collect kits from the beginning of the program, which in 2022 will be 30 years of Marian cycling as a team.
Thank you guys for joining me today. I have Michael, John, Dean, well, I guess Dean, Michael, John, on today from Marian University to talk about their successful collegiate program that USA Cycling just awarded them their 4th consecutive 10th overall Club of the Year award for varsity now overall collegiate program in 2020. It's great having you guys on today. I'll start by having each of one of you do a little short introduction about yourself and your favorite part of the program.
My name's Dean Peterson. I've been with Marian Cycling over the last 15 years, and I'm in the process of handing it off to these two guys over here to kind of over there, and Matt Giddings also. And just a little bit on the history. I can go that. Let's do the introductions first, I guess.
My name is Michael Kabancic. I am a 2013 graduate of Marian University. So I began my role with the cycling program right away after graduating. So I've been here since 2009 and been in this role since 2013. And I'm the, in addition to being a proud graduate, I'm kind of the operations guy. So all the behind the scenes type stuff, and also oversee almost everything we do related to equipment as the chief mechanic for the program.
And I am John Hoopengarner. I am in a newer position here for the team for the performance side of the team. I was also a member of the team from 2012 to 2015. So really happy to be an alumni, and still be a part of the program to help, move the team forward and progress and evolve with where the program is heading.
And Dean, do you think you could provide a little bit of a short brief history?
Yeah, so 1992 is when the program started, and it was based on the track being close to the school. So primarily started out as a track program, and it grew to track and road, and then 2006, and they won a few. There were two coaches in that time. Terry Hoffer was the original coach, and then Ken Nowakowski was the second coach. And then I became the third coach starting in 2006. So in 2006, we certainly wanted to carry on the work that Terry and Ken started with the students by basically focusing on a track program and a road program, and we slowly added other disciplines as we went along. So our first one was cyclocross, and then mountain bike. And then when BMX came along, we jumped right on that as well. So we became a 5-discipline program, if you will, basically the year that BMX became a collegiate cycling sport. And the Omnium that I can remember when the Omnium was 4 disciplines, and then I went to 5, of course, with BMX. So, and that's something that we've always wanted to be able to do. And partially, value-wise for the school, we can broaden our scope of people that can come into the program. There's a bunch of really great things built into collegiate cycling with women and men having an equal spot at the table. And all 5 disciplines having women and men racing. And then, of course, when you have racing, like especially for road and mountain, you have different levels of riders. So there's women and men, and then there's also tiers, which allows you to bring in more students. And most schools really like more students. So that's been a way that we've been able to exist well here at Marian. And there's lots of other things we've done to try to make this a valuable experience for students and the 3 graduates that are on here right now.
Awesome. So the first Club of the Year award was awarded in 2009. Can you briefly tell us if you remember about that year at all, or that application that you guys submitted?
Yeah, so Matt Jones was Matt Jones was a writer here, and someone I still stay very closely connected with. He said, we really need to do this. This is this is a good thing. And I agreed with him, and we both kind of did it together. I think he did the lion's share of the work. And then we looked at it, tried to really make sure it was a dialed proposal, and we sent it in. But it was really pretty much at that moment that I realized that it was the best way for us to reflect on how we were doing with what we were doing as a complete student athlete program. And it really did give us insight into where we were with the kind of data you were asking for. And I think it's a brilliant way to keep things moving for schools that are, and celebrating schools that are really looking at the full picture of what this is, not just at Marian, but what collegiate cycling really is. Pretty cool. So, and we've not missed one since. In terms of, whether we win or not has never been one of the issues for us. It's more about what we see and what we glean from the process of going through the data and looking at what we've done and where we're short. And because all the real good things are in that Club of the Year application process.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that too. So I was a freshman in 2009, so I wasn't involved with Dean and Matt. And in the process of that, I started probably in 2012 or 2013 working on that with you, Dean, as a senior intern in team management probably. But it's cool in that time, if we think back to 2009, how much the program has grown and changed in that time. So when I came here in 2009, I think there were maybe 20 some of us on the team. As Dean already said, collegiate BMX has been added in that time. And then also in that time, Marian took over operating the Indy Cycloplex, the park here right across the street from campus that is the home of the Major Taylor Velodrome. We also have a BMX track. We also have a cyclocross course. We also have mountain bike trails. It's a community green space. It still is a city park, but Marian operates it and provides it for the community, provides everything we do for the community, but also it becomes a home training ground for the team, right? So, and the growth of that program, and those are two portions of what we call Marian Cycling. And then there's also an indoor riding studio business called Power Booster. So that was around it for that in 2009 too, but the growth from 2009 to now is pretty substantial. And I just want to echo what Dean said in terms of that. When we stop and reflect at the end of every year to put together our Club of the Year application and our annual report, we take it as a really serious kind of stopping point or, a natural moment to step back and say, well, look at everything that has happened in the whole history, right? But particularly over the past year.
Very cool. So, since then you've had incredible successes on the bike. And we can touch on that here in a bit with some of the established alumni that have come out of the Marian program. But can we go into a little bit more into the rider development off the bike? And there's something else that I think that Dean and Michael and John, that you guys really want to set forward, that it's not entirely just about the performance on the bike, and you want to set up these collegiate cyclists for success in the future. Can you kind of guys speak to that a little bit and what you guys do for those riders?
We bring in recruits and it's, I guess, starting at the recruit process, we explain to them that, we're not just a bike racing team to kind of say what you're also saying, Parker. We tell them you're coming to Marian for an education, and that's ultimately what you're coming to Marian for. Being a bike racer during that process is something that's incredibly unique and incredibly special and very cool. But the ultimate end goal for us is for these individuals to come through the program to get a degree and to develop as human beings. So we set the tone as soon as they walk through the door, kind of with that mentality of, you're here to get a degree and you're here to learn and you're here to grow, make mistakes and move on from them, in a what we feel like is a comfortable environment for them to take chances and risks and everything involved in the college experience. And they also get to race bikes too. So that's a big part of how we address them as soon as as soon as we see him, basically to say, hey, there's more to bikes, and there's more than bikes. There's more than just bike racing. At the end of the day, if that's all you do, you win a bike race, that's awesome, but you're not going to be able, racing bikes forever. And there's other aspects of life that, we can all help out in. So that's a very big approach for us.
I can even speak to that as an alumni. I was on the team from 2014 to 2018, and I came in as a mountain biker, and the city of Indianapolis isn't the best mountain bike training grounds, but I was really sold on the school with the academics and the cycling team. And I won some national championships, like that photo behind Dean. But yeah, the whole business school and the academics that Marian offered was just something that, you really couldn't beat compared to other collegiate cycling schools. And then the cycling program is one of the best in the country, obviously. And that was kind of the icing on the cake too.
That focus on the development of the whole person. And I think it happens pretty naturally in collegiate athletics, right? Cycling is very unique. But what I think is like extra unique about the setting that we have, and it's not special to Marian, there are plenty of varsity programs that have this, but we have a huge diversity within the team, right? So as Dean said earlier, men and women, the dual gender thing and equal spots for scoring is super cool. It's all the different disciplines, so we do all 5, we treat them all equally. It's each of them is 1/5 of the team's program, equal level of support, equal level of attention from the coaching staff. And then within all of those riders within the whole roster, we got people from all over the country, all over the world, actually 7 or 8 different countries represented. We have almost every academic area on campus represented. We have socioeconomic diversity. We have, religious belief diversity. We have pretty much everything that exists in diversity within the sport is right here on this 170 to 75 rider roster. And we focus on the team aspect so much. It's an individual sport, but there are these really unique opportunities in collegiate racing, like team time trials, co-ed team relays. There are these unique opportunities to focus on the team. And when you have a team like ours that has that diversity of ridership, it really kind of elevates the whole personal development, because you have everybody able to be a part of these experiences.
One more thing to that, Parker, and that is the team scoring for collegiate is awesome. And so for conference scoring, for example, like mountain bike, and where it's most robust, it's mountain bike and road. And you have A, B, C's, D's, maybe not as deep in the women's side, but you still have categories, and those categories are scoring, so, 3, your top 3, your top 4 people are scoring, and you're in all of those different categories, different numbers. It's kind of complicated, but at the same time, though, you put all that together, and at the end of the weekend at a conference race, somebody wins. And it was won because you had a full tank of people racing in different, in their proper zones or in their proper categories. And all those points, women, men, and different categories went together. And we really celebrated more maybe than some people the importance of conference racing and conference championships. The regional championships were a big deal to us because that brings us all together as a team, not just superstar riders that are, that can do 10.5 watts per kilogram for 8 hours or whatever. So, it's not that I'm saying they're bad. They just learn to be equal with the others. And that's what's cool. And we all knew that we had to rely on each other and give to each other. And that kind of stuff goes a long way beyond cycling.
Totally. No, I appreciate everyone's input on that. So I think what I want to kind of move to now is kind of talk a little bit about like intermix the kind of more of the development with more of the lighter side of things, because it is collegiate cycling. We have riders that are roughly between the age of 18 and 22. So are there any fond memories, and I mean, we can start whoever really wants to, that of a win that was either really hard fought for, and that could be this past year, that could be like something in like just something that stands out as like the team came together. It was maybe an omnium on the track, or a relay, mountain bike relay, something like that, or just an overall weekend of racing. And it was just everyone's joint efforts to make it a successful weekend or event for Marian.
There were a couple really good memories for mountain bike nationals. And I know one of them was the team relay. I think that was my freshman year. And I think the team relay is the best event that ever existed, whether it's collegiate or, when they do it at Worlds and everything with the countries, but you lose your voice by the end of the race. Every person is out there cheering on their team. And it's normally the last race of the weekend. So the entire omnium is leaning on whether Marian gets first or second. And it's just all the relays were like that no matter what. And even I remember at one of the mountain bike nationals, actually where that photo was taken behind Dean, dual slalom is a really cool race for us just because mountain biking is something that, like I said, it's Indianapolis. That's not the birthplace of mountain biking. So there's a lot of BMXers transferring over. There's a lot of roadies trying to figure it out. And so I came in as a cross country rider and I was like, yeah, I'll figure out dual slalom. That'll be cool. Well, there was a BMXer. Her name was Bailey Enlow. And she's like, I really want to be good at slalom. I was like, okay, we're going to do it. You are going to win a slalom national title. So we were at the race and I think it was semis or something. And Bailey's like, I don't know who I'm up against. This girl looks really fast. I was like, I don't care who it is. You're going to win. You need to stay smooth through this, take the corners like this, blah, blah, blah. You've been practicing this whole time. I said, even if it's a Marian girl, screw them, you can do it. Well, then all of a sudden we look at the bracket and it was me versus Bailey. And I was like, everything I said.
I forgot about that.
And then I ended up winning, and I think Bailey got second or third, but that was just a huge team moment for us. And it's just every weekend, whether it's regionals or at a national championships, it's all about the team. And those are memories that I'll carry on forever that I'm so appreciative that I have.
It's funny. A lot of my craziest memories too are related to mountain bike, Dean. And you said the thing, I think the JoJo one you meant was the first year we won the team relay, right? The co-ed relay at Mountain Bike Nationals. And the rider, Josh, that anchored for us, prematurely exchanged, I guess. I mean, he crossed the line early. We had a 10-second penalty, and I don't know how we won. I don't know how they won that relay with a 10-second penalty. He had a crazy big lead, but it's ironic that all these, the ones that come to our minds first are mountain bike, because as Angelina said, that's traditionally not been our strongest area. But there are some real horror stories related to mountain bike trips too, especially nationals. Dean probably could share some horror stories about lodging that I've arranged for the team that hasn't always been the best setting for a national championship. Maybe don't share those details, Dean, because there's some crazier ones. But yeah, I would say my fondest memories, the ones that stick out. And I know I said earlier already that these are so unique, but anything related to the team events, particularly the co-ed team events. I mean, I would say the mountain bike and cyclocross co-ed relays and the collegiate sprint at collegiate track nationals are just in every scenario, right? And we've had ups and downs in those events as a team, at least as long as I've been here, we have. And the collegiate sprint in and of itself is so unique because it's 6 laps, no matter what track you're on. It's hard to compare times because we do it at elevation, we do it at sea level. You have different profiles of riders to put in there. Some teams do it with 1 woman and 2 guys. We typically do it with 2 women and 4 guys. I mean, there's different combinations and everything, but particularly those events, which, yeah, there are a couple other places in the sport, right? They do the relay at Worlds, mountain bike Worlds, but just there's no place else there's no place else that it's like collegiate racing, and it's so team focused. As Angelina said, it's pretty hard not to lose your breath screaming for your teammates when it's all coming down to that moment in those events.
it was special for me through my time on the team. And then it's special for me too now as one who leads and is helping people develop. I came in as a category C, I think, in every discipline. And what was special about Marian was the A category riders, Weston Lazater and Sam Stone, on some of those guys on the men's side they were seniors about in the program when I came in as a first year rider. They were taking the time to teach me as a C rider some of the skills and on the group rides and what to do and how to race in certain settings. And that was very cool to go to those races, no matter where the race was, for road or for mountain or cyclocross. Those guys were, the upper seniors and the upper category racers were right there, right with us warming up as the C riders, sharing the experience and sharing those lessons and skills and kind of like collectively group coaching everybody. And through that, I learned quite a bit as a rider on the team, and I eventually became a B, and then I became an A. So I finished my time at Marian as an A rider in all the categories that I raced in. And it was because of those older riders, those A's that, they very easily could have said, well, you average 230 watts for your FTP, and you can't sprint like this, and you can't bunny hop the barriers. They very easily could have just said, whatever, I'm going to go do my own thing. I'll sleep on the bus until my race starts, and I'll be by myself, and I'm going to go do my race. But they didn't. And, they gave back to the team, and they helped those riders develop. And I think that's been very special. And now watching that happen as someone who leads, the group of team and help leads, it's super, super incredible to watch someone like the defending road race national champion, Cade Bickmore, talking to our younger riders of like, okay, if you're in this scenario, these are some of the things you need to watch out for. And to watch those riders earlier on in their careers learn from someone like that, like that's super huge, and it's, I know I gave examples for men, but it's on the women's side too. We've had great women leadership with right now on the team with Marta Morris and older seniors, and I'm sure Angelina, you can point out when you were a freshman, all the seniors that just give back and they give back and they give back. And I think through that, it's just, that's how we've become so good and kept those riders developing, was everyone coming back together.
Yeah, the one story that comes to my mind is like Corinne Rivera. She was a senior when I came in as a freshman. Everyone, like, she was untouchable, just like this super awesome, great road racer. She still is. She's on the Olympic long team now. And she was racing on the world tour whenever I was in college. And she's like, you want to learn how to ride a track bike? Like, let's go to the track. And she took myself and another mountain biker, and she taught me how to ride a track bike at the velodrome. And it's just like, those experiences are so awesome. And now in my position at USA Cycling, it's so awesome being able to have Corinne as a contact and vice versa. We've talked about different USA Cycling national team things and Marian things. And a couple months ago, she called me. We had to talk about USA Cycling stuff. And then I was like, yeah, I just pulled in my garage. My garage door isn't working, but it's okay. She's like, oh, FaceTime me. Me and Nate will help you. We had a problem with our garage door. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting tech advice on my garage door from Corinne Rivera.
She's an interesting one because the quick story that I have is that she was sitting next to somebody, a freshman. She was probably a junior or senior. They were on their way to a road. I was right in front of them. And she noticed that the guy was doing the same chemistry that she was doing. He's a freshman, she's a junior. But anyway, she's like, do you know how to do that? And he said, oh yeah, I'm good at chemistry. And so he helped her with chemistry. And then somewhere in the middle of that conversation, or somewhere while they were working together, he goes, I've never raced before. I don't even really know how to put my number on my jersey. And she goes, oh yeah, I can help you with that. And she's really particular about it. So she taught him. I will never forget it. It was like, and he didn't know who she was, and it didn't matter. It's just two college students hanging out and having a good time and kind of trading their wares, in terms of what they know best. So it's pretty cool.
And not to add something else that Corinne's a really good example of, but that, as Angelina said, she's best known for being a road racer. She's a super talented road racer, but I know she did every discipline while she was in school here. I don't know that she ever raced BMX.
Yeah.
I know she rode the BMX track, and I think all of us on the coaching staff held our breath every time she was on the BMX track. But she raced the track for sure. Race mountain bike for sure. Actually won our first endurance national title in the mountain bike discipline by winning the women's short track race at collegiate nationals. Raced cyclocross. So, and that's a big part of kind of one aspect of collegiate cycling, right, is the opportunity to engage in different disciplines. And some riders just do it naturally, right? Corinne had a background on the track. She'd also raced off-road and continued to grow as a cyclist in those other disciplines while focusing on kind of her longer term goal of road racing. But we have those that have a wide variety of experience and get to do it all. And then collegiate's also an opportunity for riders to try different disciplines. Angelina mentioned the track. It helps that there's a velodrome near campus for us, for sure, but it happens all over in collegiate. There's BMX tracks everywhere, mountain bike trails. It's a cool thing to like go to collegiate nationals and see, riders at a super high level, right? And that's their primary thing. And then also riders that are like, well, I just want to do this for the team, right? And this might be the first and only time I ever do a mountain bike race, but I want to do it for the team, or a first in cyclocross, or, whatever it is. So that's a super cool thing about collegiate. And we really try to foster that when here at Marian, when there are things folks want to try, give them the opportunity to do so.
Very cool. So when you kind of going back to kind of Club of the Year, I mean, this is now 2020 was your 10th year winning Club of the Year for Marian. Is that something that's on the riders' minds at all, or is that something that you guys put on their minds at the beginning of the year, thinking about their development, not really kind of as a award that we're striving to hit, but more of just like, as you are going through your season, something that is on the list for Marian as a kind of a pause and reset at the end of the year. So is there anything, do you guys think about that at all? Or is it more of just a, like, don't think about it, think about your rider development, think about the community, think about just what we want you to think about. And then that's just kind of an afterthought that you guys pull together at the end of the year?
That's the way we teach and we lead. We've all, and Angelina, I mean, students, and I mean, the older students tend to know more about this because they've seen it, but we don't say, okay, so we're working on getting this Club of the Year thing, but what we're trying to do is use what the ideals that are in the Club of the Year application to just teach our team how they can be better. And not just bike racers. Again, back to the whole, taking a holistic approach to guiding young people. Like these people were kind of guided, and they're guiding now as well. So it's pretty cool, but you don't really have to mention it. They realize that there is a thing when we win it, if we win it. And we don't consider it, like I said, we don't consider this it's a slam dunk every time. We do consider it as a process that's really important to us. And if we win it, that's a pretty cool thing to celebrate with the, but I still think we would say, here are some of our stats from this year, and we're very proud of what has unfolded with the student athletes at Marian Cycling.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not winning the Club of the Year award is not a target we set at the beginning of the year in the same way that we say, like we want to win the Omnium, right? And we know to win the Omnium, we're going to have to do these performances at national championships. And it's not even the way we set other goals, because we set a series of goals as a staff, and then as a staff with the team every single year, around team GPA and community service hours. I wouldn't say that it's like we expressly set out the goal to win Club of the Year, but a lot of the, as Dean said, the ideals that are baked in just become part of how we operate, right? We know that as a team, we want to be involved with a certain number of community engagements or community service functions. We work with Indy Parks to take care of the Cycloplex. We fundraise for certain events that the students participate in. There's just a number of different things. And as Dean said at the very beginning, we like reflecting through the Club of the Year application process. But yeah, it's really more just that those are things we do because we talk about bike racing, we talk about school a lot, but there's also all of these other things that are part of being a member of Marian Cycling, right? So, and a lot of them are things that do come out in the club of the year process. But it's stuff that we're going to focus on anyway, right? We're going to focus on doing well in school. We're going to focus on being engaged in the community. And I do think the last year, particularly with the pandemic, especially speaks to, because we didn't really do any substantial bike racing. We didn't do any national level competition. But we really pushed to maintain a lot of those same things in terms of community engagement and team support of each other, staying focused on school, and giving back to and being engaged with the community. I mean, we didn't have to say it out loud that we were going to still do those stuff when like races started getting canceled and campus got closed and, all the stuff that went down. It was just, we continued operating and those were the targets. They stayed the same.
Parker, I have a question for you. Do you know who really developed that Club of the Year survey application? I mean, it goes back probably 12 to 13 years, I think. I don't know if it went further than that or not, but whoever did it or whatever team of people did it, we're really thinking in a really good way, I think. It goes right along with all the other stuff we've been saying around the team aspect and the scoring. It's one of the things that makes collegiate absolutely beautiful, collegiate cycling. It's very different than, most collegiate sports in general. So anyway, if you ever know, find out, I'd really like to send them a note and say, hey, this is a really good process. You should almost make people do it.
No, I don't know off the top of my head, but I was actually presented with some of our old Club of the Year applications from back in the day when things were more done on paper instead of electronically.
Oh yeah, we did
and
the
like
first couple.
those I have binders of multiple pages of all the information that you can now submit via email. So definitely times have changed, but I will let you know when I find it out.
Matt Jones and I did the first one down in the basement, everybody, like right where you are, John. We were down there doing, just like, okay, so let's go through this question. All right, let's go through this question. So let's figure this out. And we were in the basement where you are. I don't know when that was. That's like, that might have been like 2008, 2009.
Something a little bit on the lighter side of things, and then I'll go back with another one. The history of the Marian kit. Now, they're the Knights. I would imagine that you would have had a play on the Marian logo, but this is kind of more of a personal question of like, where did you guys develop your kits? And I'm always very fascinated about that. Does anyone have was that like a hot topic when those kits came out, and that was either a very divided group of people that were like, yeah, no, we don't like that, but I don't know if you trumped that, Dean, and you were like, I'll start
on it, and then you guys can take it on.
Hang on, I have a question, Parker. You said you have it's like a personal thing for you. Do you just mean like kits in general, or like you have a personal thing about our team kit?
No, just a personal thing, like just kits in general, not something about your kit in particular.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I was going to say, if we ever had to bribe you, we would know what to send, I guess.
Yeah. This is timely too, because I just put an ask out to our alumni group on the Facebook alumni page. And I said, hey, we're trying to collect kits from the beginning of the program, which in 2022 will be 30 years of Marian cycling as a team. So kind of a personal project for me as alumni / on the staff is collecting all of these kits. So that's been cool to see some of the pictures, but Dean, go ahead and you can talk a little bit about
it. If you could show them that, I think it would be the easiest, but there was definitely, prior to me coming in, there was a gold and dark blue. So there was a real like exact color match to the school's colors. And when I came in, I thought, well, we need to be a little bit more visible. So we went to these light blue kits. They look like, they called them Smurf kits. And it had the seal of the university on it. And that, and I think half of it was in Latin, and you couldn't, I don't even know what was going on with that. I was like, oh, what, how does anybody know this is Marian? But we did put Marian.edu on there. That was good. But that was, 2006, 2007. And then we went to 2008, and that's 2008 or somewhere in 2009. It was when we went to the block letters like that, like Angelina's wearing there. And
the first version of that started in 2009.
2009. Yeah. And we had different things on them. And the biggest change we've made then in the progression of that, we haven't really changed the block lettering. We've kind of put less things on them and just put those who support us on the back pockets. Is that right, Michael? But the biggest thing was changing to that neon yellow, and that was for safety. We definitely did that for visibility and safety.
Yeah, I would just say on the sponsors note too, we're as a program super lucky, right, to have long-term institutional support from Marian, from the athletic department, from leadership here, but also from the cycling industry, right? So, and outside the industry, we have long-term community partners. And I don't really want to get into naming them because we'll all name a bunch and we'll still forget somebody. But we used to have that kind of all over the jersey. I mean, it wasn't like quite Tour de France level World Tour kit, but it was there. And we've reduced that a little bit, not to like take anything away from those sponsors, but just to really highlight, again, the team aspect and the school aspect, right? So if you look at this, which we don't, but if you look at this as just a super high level elite racing team, Marian University is the title sponsor, right? Of the presenting title sponsor, everything we do. So as Dean said, like the block lettering and cleaning it up and simplifying it to really just focus on Marian, and blue and gold or blue and neon yellow, right? Something like those colors that are super visible. And then still like having the sponsors, right? Our long-term biggest sponsors are on the back pocket, but like just streamlining a little bit to have it be really plain, really simple, focus on Marian.
And this is not to take away from the neon, but I am trying to convince the guys that let us do a 30-year anniversary jersey. So we might see the old gold and blue come back. I hope, maybe we'll see if we can do some kind of run on like a throwback to it's 30 years. You got to celebrate it, I think. So we'll see what we can do for 22.
Is there any division? I mean, I raced a little bit, and my last year in school, raced for the College of Worcester out of Northeast Ohio. And I showed up to a few races in Indiana and Michigan, and I could spot the Marian kid a mile away. I knew exactly what that team meant just by seeing that jersey. So I knowing it'd be cool to see maybe some change, but at the same time, like that history has a lot of meaning to it. Very simple, but also there's a lot to that. So very cool. So kind of go around the room a little bit here, but what do you think in your sphere or what you've seen sets Marian apart from the rest of the collegiate space?
For me, it's the inclusivity that we have, from all of the levels of riders, from beginners to pros that race in Europe. I was a beginner coming in, and I was very fortunate to be able to sit on the bus, like Corinne's story, helping with chemistry. I wasn't the guy, but I could sit next to those racers that raced in Europe, and they traveled and they had the stories, and I got to see that experience. And I think that the thing that sets Marian apart is any trip that we go on for the team, any team race, everybody comes along. It's everybody together in that team aspect and that team vibe. And, fortunate that Marian University supports that to the size that Marian, is. But I think that's what really set it apart for me. And it's something that I still try to, have resonate with all the kids in the team now, is that everybody's included. Everybody here is going to play a part, and everybody does matter for this team. We're not leaving anybody at home unless we have to select for a national championship roster. And at that point, of course you want to take the best to contend for the title, but everybody's included every other step of the way. And that's the special thing for me.
What we do with cycling as an entire program. And it is heavily intertwined with what we do as an institution to operate the Indy Cycloplex, right? As a park, as a facility. So if you look at like all the aspects of collegiate cycling, facilities is one of them, right? Safety is another. We often tell recruits that we look at this as a laboratory of sport. So it's not just that you do your intervals during training days and you go to the start line and try to get to the finish line on race days. We look at sports psychology, nutrition, recovery, equipment is a big one for me in terms of it's just another aspect you can manage. But we look at all of those different things within cycling, health and wellness, and all of those like various parts, and loop them all into we are a cycling team. And that is everything from we want to win at the highest level and we want to win national titles, and we want to win individual titles and team titles, and we want to graduate riders, right? And we want to award diplomas, and we want to see riders get meaningful jobs in the community and give back as alumni or do something else and go. And it like that, the whole view, right? So if you zoom all the way out from like one rider at one collegiate race on one day, all the way out to like everything that goes into the program, I feel like we, specifically the coaching staff, but also just Marian as an institution with all the support we have, we look at that entire picture and we, I think, treat it appropriately, treat it well, and take it seriously. And we have a lot of fun doing it all together too. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound like it's all business. I think anybody on the team, anybody who is working on our staff or has worked on our staff would also say that it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of touched on it already, just the balance between academics and athletics was huge for me, and I think that's what sets the school apart. But really, it's just such a crazy environment. Whenever you like go onto campus for the first day, you automatically have 70 best friends on the cycling team. Whether you want to be friends with them or not, like you're not getting rid of them. You're spending every weekend with them, and it's lifelong friends. It's still groups of people that I talk to today. I can probably go to any state in the US right now and have a couch to crash on because of people that I've met through Marian. And it's just like, just hearing all these stories and looking back on everything, it just makes me emotional because it really is what molded me into the person that I am today. And just with my career, like my manager who hired me for this position flew out to an event and Dean was there the next day, and like Dean's giving a recommendation to give me this job, and just being able to still have the staff members, being as close to the staff members as I am, and all of my friends. That's really been awesome.
That's awesome to hear. So kind of like closing thoughts. And for me, it's your opportunity to think about the future a little bit. Where do you want to see Marian be in the next 5-10 years, the next, like your 40th anniversary, your 50th anniversary for the program? Are any things that like, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there for sure. I get that. Like that's not something that I'm expecting you guys to have a detailed plan of how you're going to get there. But are there some things that you're thinking about as you shoot for the future for the program?
Not that we would do anything different, but I guess I would like to at some point, after 40 years of the program, maybe I'm here, maybe I'm not. I would like to know that what Marian did in collegiate cycling, what we did as a team, helped push collegiate cycling forward. And I think that there are examples of places where we've done that. And that's everything from like we've guided other teams, whether they be club teams or varsity teams, or we've set an example that other teams have followed, or we've, basically leading by example. But I would like to think that Marian has and can continue to like push collegiate cycling to a higher level, both performance wise. And we want to have good competition, right? It wouldn't be rewarding to go to national championships and just blow everything out of the water. We would never want that. Competition wise, and also just like intrinsically with the value of like student athlete experiences, right? So that's something that I would hope for the future. What's going to actually happen with Marian cycling and collegiate, who knows? I mean, things are in a pretty good place right now, but I would hope that at some point, we, Marian cycling staff, I guess, can be proud of what, the influence that Marian had in the entire collegiate cycling landscape.
I agree by being an example and leading the way. I will have to say, to no one's fault, I started in 2019, and then we all know what happened in March of 2020. So majority of my job has been going through this pandemic. I'm hoping that in the next year we're back to normal, so I can really help and guide, and lead through a normal season of racing, which I'm certain will happen again. And just to be a part of it is where my future is, where my seeing it individually, but leaning on Dean and Michael too to help us get it there is just part of what I'm seeing for the future.
One thing I would probably say is that we continue to do what we're doing for young people to move through the process of undergrad education, in some cases med school too. There's others, but predominantly we're an undergrad program. But to see progression of students moving on, graduating, and racing and riding a bike or not, having a good solid finish to their collegiate career and being able to jump into whatever it is they choose to do, and we've given them a good booster shot to do it. That doesn't just come from winning. That comes from putting in the extra time with people. It's personal relationships. It's about showing people you care. And this is a group right here that I know does that. And if someone said we aren't winning much or we're not doing very well and I haven't been paying attention when I'm retired or whatever I'm going to do, I would say, well, but how's everybody doing in terms of how's the graduation rate and how are people doing outside of college? And they say, oh, excellent. Then I would say, then we're still doing the right thing. And I do believe it will balance out if collegiate cycling continues. I think in terms of it's going to be a lot closer to win national championships. There's going to be a lot of things. I think we got ahead of things pretty quickly, and in the earlier years, and when changes were made at different times. And I do think that the competition is just going to get better. And one of the things a goal that I always had was trying to say that maybe, are we having impact on collegiate cycling in a positive way or a negative way? The positive way to me says other teams are building and using a model of success that isn't just driven by winning, but by actually graduating and putting yourself to the next test beyond college. That would be good. And I want that to happen. I don't want to quit winning. So you guys don't worry about that. I don't want to see that, and I don't think anyone else does, but I think it'll get tougher, and I think that's good.
Do you have anything to add, Angelina, as an alum that's not working for Marian currently?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I just want to keep seeing the team growing, not necessarily growing to 100 people or more, because that's a lot of people, but seeing the program continuously being successful and being a huge impact in people's lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing your thoughts on a solid program that you guys help run each and every day. So thank you again, and talk soon.
Thanks, Parker.
Absolutely. Thanks, Parker.